You will not believe how I caught my best friend cheating on her boyfriend with her brother. Hi, my name is Sarah and I'm 22 years old. I submitted this story because I wanted to know if I was in the wrong or not. Let's get into it. Me and my ex-friend Lindsay have been best friends for over 6 years. We did everything together until about a year ago. This made me pretty upset, but I understood because she was mostly my only friend, and that wasn't her fault. Anyways, when she got her new boyfriend, they were inseparable. They would do everything and anything together. She would even ditch me for plans with him. Until she started acting weird one day. She started talking a lot about her brother as if he was her best friend, and she smiled and giggled when she mentioned him. I thought they hated each other. This, in fact, was very weird. And you will not believe what else happened. Make sure to come back for part 2. You will not believe how I caught my best friend cheating on her boyfriend with her brother, part 2. This was in fact very weird. I asked her why she was getting so close with her brother all of a sudden, and she claims they made up over a grudge they had towards each other for a long time. Again, this was random, very random, so I decided to do some digging. Technically, I know I'm not supposed to do this, but I read through some of her text messages while she was taking a shower at my house, and she seemed very bored with her boyfriend. The way she was speaking to him, and she kept making excuses for why she couldn't attend their plans. So around August 10th, they had this conversation. They were supposed to go on a date, but she flunked. So I decided to check her Snapchat memories for around this time, and she was having dinner with her brother at a restaurant. For whatever reason, there were roses in the background next to her in her seat, and they were holding hands and they were giggling. So then I kept looking around at the Snapchat memories, and oh my gosh, I saw the most disturbing thing. You would not believe what happens next. Come back for part 2. You will not believe how I caught my best friend cheating on her boyfriend with her brother, part 3. I ended up finding strange videos on the phone, and photos, if you get what I mean. So then after that, I came up with a plan. Lindsay's dad had been eyeing me for a while, so I decided to give him a chance. I slept over at his place, if you get what I mean, and stood the night. Lindsay and her brother came home and were confused to find the two of us. I explained to her I spent the night because today we were having a big family dinner, and I stated that I invited Lindsay's boyfriend as well. This made her uncomfortable, but I just brushed it off. So then when everyone came, we all had dinner, we were all having a good time, and that's when I decided to drop the bomb. I started reading text messages between Lindsay and her brother out loud and airdropped the photos and videos to everyone, including her boyfriend. Lindsay rushed out of the house and so did her brother, and I haven't seen them since then. However, I did not feel bad for what I did. But I don't know. Am I in the wrong?
Am I the asshole for refusing to let my husband pull $14,000 out of my account without signing a contract? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I, female 36, have been married to my husband, male 42, for 2 years. I've never been married before him, but he was married twice and has 6 kids. He requested our finances be split up, which was fine with me because seeing how he blows through his money is so frustrating. He says he has kids, commitments, and has to provide, but I don't think the kids would need that much money to live like the other kids. His bank account is always almost empty while mine has over $20,000 in it. We take turns paying for daily expenses and stuff. Lately, he's been struggling with money. He borrowed from a number of people, including my own brother, about $4,000 from him just a week ago. He just seems really desperate for money. I asked him what the deal was, and he said that he needed the money for the kids, which seemed fishy since kids don't really need that much money for their expenses. His oldest kid is 16. He then came and asked me to borrow $14,000. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my husband pull $14,000 out of my account without signing a contract? Disclaimer, this is not my story. He came and asked to borrow $14,000 from me, pull it from my account, and put it into his. I tried asking him what he needed the money for, but he said it was none of my business, then insisted that he'll return it ASAP. I said okay, but under the condition that he'll sign a contract stating he'll return the money in full. He acted all shocked and offended, then went on about how I don't trust him and his word. I told him that's all I got and this was my one and only condition. He kept ranting about how I'm refusing to help and making the situation more difficult for him instead of cooperating. I insisted on a contract to be signed before he even pulls a penny, and this morning I told him this one more time. He blew up and said that we're family and that I should be ashamed for involving courts and lawyers between family things. He left the house and was so upset he hasn't responded to any of my calls yet. So am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for telling my sister she overreacted when she screamed at me for entering her and her husband's room? Disclaimer, this is not my story. So I, female 23, am a full-time college student. Right now I'm living with my sister Claire and her husband Thomas while I get through my current semester. I don't work, so I don't have everything I need for my daily skin or hair routine, so I borrow stuff from Claire. Claire didn't have an issue in the beginning, but then she started complaining about me randomly walking into her room, but I go in there looking for stuff I asked for. She gave me a hard time just because I walked in on Thomas half naked to get the eyeshadow I borrowed from her, and then that other time that I walked in late at night. She told me I needed to get her permission to enter the room before I take anything, but I figured this would make things complicated. It's already enough that I have to ask to borrow an item. So last night at around 10 p.m. I went upstairs and into the bedroom to grab the hairdryer. I walked in and accidentally saw them in an intimate position together in bed. I had no idea they were doing that, especially since Claire had told me that Thomas has been feeling sick the past 2 days. Am I the asshole for telling my sister that she overreacted when she screamed at me for entering her and her husband's room? Disclaimer, this is not my story. She lashed out at me, yelling for me to get out. I quickly grabbed the hairdryer, then walked out and shut the door. Minutes later, she came downstairs in her robe and went off on me, saying that she was done with me repeatedly disrespecting and violating her and her husband's privacy. I told her it was fine and it was no big deal and that I needed the hairdryer but didn't have time to ask for permission. She got even louder, saying I had no business barging into her marital space and embarrassing her and her husband like that. I told her that I was sorry, but she really overreacted to this whole thing. This made her more pissed. She went on about how I'm living here rent-free and yet not being respectful enough. I stopped arguing with her and went into my room. This morning, Thomas left the house early and Claire ignored me during breakfast. She's still upset and said that I don't get to say whether she overreacted or not and that my behavior was inappropriate. She wants me to apologize to her husband for making last night awkward. Am I the asshole for reporting my daughter's car missing after her stepbrother took it without permission? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I got my daughter 17 a new car 2 months ago. Her stepbrother 19 has gone crazy about it ever since and has been attempting to drive it, but my daughter made it clear she doesn't want him to. He kept referring to it as our car and would get mad when my daughter decorates it with pink and adds teddy bears and necklaces as decoration. He would also get angry and say that she was ruining their car and embarrassing him in front of his friends, although she never let him get inside of it. I asked my husband to talk to his son, but he said my daughter and I need to chill. Fast forward to this past Friday. My daughter called me while I was at work saying her stepbrother took her car while she was upstairs after he demanded the keys and she refused. I called his phone, but he didn't respond. I then called my husband and told him what happened. I told him that he needed to go bring the car back or I'd have to call the police. He called his son, then called me back and said that his son was just taking it to go to the movies with his friends and will bring it back by 9 p.m. Am I the asshole for reporting my daughter's car missing after her stepbrother took it without permission? Disclaimer, this is not my story. He called his son, then called me back saying his son was just taking it to go to the movies with his friends and will bring it back by 9 p.m. I couldn't wait. I warned him one more time to bring it back, but he stalled. I called the police and reported it stolen. My stepson was picked up from his location and brought into the local police station. We got the car back, but it was a mess. The decorations and toys in it were gone. My daughter didn't stop crying about it. My husband blew up at me on the phone for calling the police on his son and causing him to spend the night there. They both came home the next day and a huge argument started with my husband saying I made a mistake reporting the car missing. He said that I escalated the situation and that I was the one who created it and I should have got his son a similar car or at least told my daughter to share. And otherwise we wouldn't have to be dealing with his son's temper tantrums. The house has been full of tension since then and everyone is just mad at each other. I didn't want to involve the police, but seeing my daughter cry I couldn't take it. Am I the asshole for giving my stepdaughter the best room out of all of our kids? Disclaimer, this is not my story. My husband, 43 male, and I, 38 female, are moving into our dream house. We have 4 children, my stepdaughter Ella, 16, our daughter Jane, 11, our son Sam, 9, and our daughter Luna, 6. It's a 6-bedroom house that has a master bedroom, 2 rooms with attached bathrooms, and 3 normal bedrooms. The plan was for one of the rooms with the bathrooms attached to be the guest room and the other to be Ella's room. Then Jane, Sam, and Luna would each get one of the normal rooms. We told the kids to decide their room style so we can finish decorating and move in. Jane was under the impression that she and Ella would be getting the 2 rooms with the bathrooms. We let her know that one of those would be the guest rooms, and since Ella is the oldest, she deserves the other one so she can have the privacy and space she needs. Jane thinks that this is unfair. She tried to convince us to give her the guest bedroom, but we feel that the guests should have the comfortability of their own bathroom. There is also a bathroom right by Jane's room that will be hers that she can decorate how she wants. Am I the asshole for giving my stepdaughter the best room out of all of her kids? Disclaimer, this is not my story. There is also a bathroom right by Jane's room that will be hers that she can decorate how she wants and will be her own bathroom, but it's not attached to her room. Sam and Luna will share a bathroom. She then brought up that Ella is only there every other week, so the room is just sitting there for days at a time. We said that it doesn't matter, she still deserves her own room because of her age, and when she leaves for college they can switch rooms. Jane has not been handling this well, and a few family members she's spoken to think I'm putting someone else's child over my own, but I've been raising Ella since she was a baby. Jane has struggled with some jealousy over Ella's 2 birthday parties and some other things she gets double of. Ella's mom is high conflict, so we all have minimal contact with her and do things separately. I'm torn because she will still have her own bathroom that she can decorate however she wants and no one else will use it. Her issue is she wants it to be attached to her room. She still has a walk-in closet and lots of space. And the bathroom is right next to her room.